Hello, my name is Megan and this is my very unique, very special Mazda CX-5, which I'm sure none of you have ever heard of, and I'm in the woods camping with it. So I thought I'd show you my very simple setup compared to what I usually camp in. As you can see, we have a bed. It's a IKEA foam mattress. There's definitely a few options you could go with. As a backpacker, I'll show you. I camp in the backcountry a lot, so I usually use this thing, which is just like an inflatable mat. And this one is my partner's. It's like a car camping mat, self-inflating and like 2 inches thick, versus this is like a solid 4 inches thick, so it's very luxurious. I did steal it from my usual camping setup in my Yukon. The point is that you can probably get away with camping with most things that you can find in your house. I like to keep my stuff organized with baskets. This is basically all the stuff I brought, and some other stuff. Clothes, pretty self-explanatory. PJs, warm stuff, things that I brought thinking that it would actually be warm out, which it's not. We have toiletries such as baby wipes, which make a great camping shower. This is kind of just my regular stuff basket, like books, journal, camera, bug spray. I have some USB rechargeable lights. This one's dead. And then this is my kitchen, sort of. My other parts of my kitchen are here. I use a butane gas stove. It's just cheap and easy and light, and I don't really have much of a sales pitch for it, but they're handy. This is a pan I got from the thrift store. This is my backcountry camping stove that I usually just use to make coffee because it's really fast at boiling water. First aid. This is a, what do you call it? Compression. It presses the coffee and it makes good coffee, better than French press. I have some biodegradable soap, which reminder that this does not mean that you can just wash your dishes in the river. It just means that you can dump the water in the ground. So be smart, do that. Another really smart thing that I'm calling myself smart, just so we're all aware. I feel like having a good dishwashing setup is smart. This is literally all you have to do is eat a bucket of ice cream and then you get a free bucket. This is what I use to carry dishwater or use as like a dishwashing sink. Whatever ends up in it, the most important thing is to strain the water so that your food scraps don't go in the woods and the bears don't come to eat you. Sponge. I'd say the rest is pretty standard. A plate, a knife. Literally nothing, no like collapsible, fancy, expensive stuff, just like a plate that my cousin gave me and I like it. Probably not smart in terms of will it break, but high risk, high reward, you know, it's nice to have a nice plate. Over here I have a garbage tucked behind the driver's seat. Portable battery system, definitely a luxurious item. There are other options that you can do if this isn't in the budget. If you just want to keep your small devices charged, I'd recommend something like this, a little portable power bank, because it's small. It can literally go in your pocket. Huh? This type of little thing comes in handy if you're like traveling on a plane or on a road trip or going camping. We are going camping, that's what this whole thing's about. Or going hiking versus something like that, which you're going to be restricted in what you can use it for. But this is pretty affordable. This was only $60. It's a 12-volt cooler. It's loud. It's not the most efficient. It just seems to constantly run, which is fine because you can plug it in while you're driving. But as soon as you're camping, then you're going to want to plug it into something. And that's when this comes in handy. It's what allows me to bring food and cook with fresh meals and not have to worry about ice. But that's always an option. You can always get ice. Either way, it'll fit here if you're a solo camper. There's room in the Mazda. That's exciting. Another thing I really appreciate about the Mazda, and it's pretty standard I think across most SUVs, is they really try to maximize space. All these little pockets. Something that I realized for this trip, this space underneath, you could put stuff there. I have an axe. Also the little side pockets in here. Another thing I've found is this. This is a segue to the bathroom. This is what you need when you're in the woods. And then you walk off into the distance, you dig a little hole, and then you cover it up. If you're wondering how I got to this lovely camping spot, this is called a public lands use zone, more commonly referred to as dispersed camping. It could be a national forest or BLM land if you're in the States, or if you're in BC, it could be a rec site or Ontario Crown land. Although I never really figured out how to find Crown land in Ontario, but maybe that was just before I got into this stuff. To find it, usually I use an app or like provincial websites, or there's lots of like freecampsites.net. stuff like that. The thing about these campsites is they're not really campsites. Usually there's like a fire ring. There's usually, hopefully, trees so you have somewhere to go to the bathroom, because there's no services, there's no electricity, there's no anything, and the roads look like this half the time. And the best ones always have the longest, bumpiest, most pothole-filled dirt roads to get to. But that's what makes them so private and solitude and nice, and why they can't run plumbing here. Usually finding the campsite is the most stressful part for me, so we are extra thankful for Kumho for setting us up with these brand new Krugen HP71 tires, because they make getting places like this a little less stressful, even though this is my grocery getting car and HP stands for highway performance. Online, if you look at off-roading, it just says not applicable. So we made it applicable today, and they got me here, and I trust that they're going to get me back out this. And I think it's pretty cool when any vehicle can be made adventure worthy, because it's really easy to start thinking that you need all of this stuff just to get outside, when it's probably one of the most simple things you can do as long as you're safe. The treads are specifically designed to tackle water, slush, and snow on the road, so I am very excited to have these going into the Canadian winter season, even if it's just to the grocery store. Speaking of safety, I'll also add, this is my mini satellite phone. It requires a subscription, which kind of sucks. It's actually not active right now because I knew I'd have service in this spot. I have 3 whole bars. 3 bars. Mostly just so I can text people I love that I made it here safely. And then they're happy. They're happy for me to do my solo adventures. Either have something like this, or newer iPhones have, I think, like GPS satellite capability. I don't know much about it. Maybe look into it before I try to survive in the wilderness. Getting the camper ready to go is very normal. The headrests have to come off for the platform to be somewhat flat, and it still doesn't go down all the way, but once my weight is set on it, it does improve a little bit. The length is enough for me to lay down fully, and if the front seat is pulled forward, it brings it to over 6 feet long. When the seat isn't forward, it sort of acts like a rest for lounging back so my head doesn't hit the ceiling. But there is a gap underneath, so nothing supports the mattress there except for the console, so I just shove the mattress down, which once I'm ready for bed, it does kind of get in the way. All in all, I find it super cozy. For privacy, I haven't made anything for this car since I'm just in the woods and I don't really care. The one thing I do use is sunshades, just so that if I am parked somewhere that's less private, that no one can see in the front of my vehicle. And I also would like to think that by putting the shiny side in, maybe it's helping me stay warm because it's late summer here and it's getting chilly. One thing we've made for past vehicles though is fabric curtains with Velcro. Usually the struggle is getting them to adhere to the side of the vehicle, but if you can do that with some 3M glue or something, then you have a bit of privacy. Alternatively, if you get the bubble foil wrap, I don't really know how good it is for insulation. It works well because it shoves into stuff. It's really easy to watch a lot of these videos on YouTube, and it's honestly quite fun whether or not you're planning to do it yourself. I used to watch a lot of videos like this too before I started camping, and it's really easy to use that as a sort of satisfaction that you're doing it. I don't want to call you out or anything, but ultimately though, just getting out and doing it myself is probably where I found the most comfort and just like learned the most of little tricks. Sometimes you do learn new things that you would never expect. Like people talk about putting a carabiner in here to keep this light from going off on. Oh, there's a light switch. I'll show you that so you feel like you learned something. Wow. That's nice. The reality is, if you're willing to deal with a little bit of discomfort and inconvenience, you'll probably be fine. I always recommend that people start close to home and on a short trip. I literally, for the first time I camped in a tent, I set it up in my parents' backyard. Someone please let me know if they're gonna go sleep in their driveway now. The most important thing is that you are safe and that you don't get eaten by bears. And if you don't live in bear country, you are very lucky. Thank you so much for Kumho for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I don't, it's pretty simple, so, but you know, no judgment if you have a question.